Let's talk about the difference between Shenxiu and Huineng's understanding of the world based on their verses. Shenxiu used his verse to show how he saw Buddhist practice. What does it mean to practice Buddhism? Well, Shenxiu's verse suggests that we all have a naturally bright, clear, and pure mind, like a mirror, but it is at risk of getting dusty and dirty. Where do the dirt and dust come from? They come from all these troubles and worries from living in the real world, a world full of dust and all that mundane stuff. Therefore, practicing Buddhism means constantly keeping our mind, which is like a shiny mirror, separate from the mess of the real world. We need to constantly clear our mind like wiping away dust off a mirror, not letting it stick. That is what spiritual practice is all about for Shenxiu. Now, let's break down the issues with Shenxiu's understanding. According to Shenxiu, practicing Buddhism means separating ourselves from the ups and downs of human life, distancing ourselves from regular people, and avoiding the troubles that come with being alive. We are not supposed to let any of that stuff affect us and instead aim to be self-reliant. However, that is only the Hinayana Buddhism way of looking at things, being self-interested. If you want to get what Buddhism is all about, tap into your Buddha nature, and reach that enlightened wisdom. What is the first step? The first step is to realize that both the problems and the wisdom we have in this human world come from the same place, our own fundamental nature and our basic essence of mind. Our basic essence is always there, hanging out in the background, and it shows itself through our thoughts. When our basic essence stirs up improper or wild thoughts, we end up with troubles and worries. That being said, it can also spark off wise thoughts. That is where the difference lies. Afflictions, or simply put, the troubles in life, all come from deep within us. At the same time, wisdom also comes from deep within us. They are not two separate forces pitted against each other in an eternal struggle the way described in Shenxiu's verse. It is from those very troubles of all living beings where wisdom sprouts. When we focus on our spiritual journey, we must empathize with the troubles of others. Through this process, we cultivate great compassion. Without great compassion, it is impossible to understand the core of Buddhism and tap into our Buddha nature. Huineng reached a higher level than Shenxiu because he dissolved the clash between affliction and wisdom through his verse. While Shenxiu's verse compares the human body to the tree of wisdom and the heart to a mirror, Huineng's verse points out that there is no physical tree when it comes to Bodhi, the tree of wisdom, and that there is no mirror on the stand. Since these two items do not exist, there is no need to dust them off. Similarly, there is no need to constantly wipe away worldly affliction from the heart and mind. By getting rid of the physical tree and the mirror, Huineng rid himself of the opposition between affliction and wisdom. Now, does that mean nothing exists? No, there is still something there. Huineng did not say what that is, but the important thing is that he was able to eliminate the clash between affliction and wisdom. That move helped him surpass Shenxiu. Huineng's verse was all about the idea of non-existence or emptiness. But is it enough to just talk about emptiness? No, that is why Master Hongren grabbed a shoe and wiped away Huineng's verse. What is the meaning behind Master Huineng's action? Zen. It was his way of saying, you speak of non-existence, so I shall render your verse non-existent, erasing it off the wall and leaving nothing behind. By wiping out the opposition between the wisdom in our minds and the afflictions from the outside world, you might think everything disappears. However, that is not the case, so we must wipe out that emptiness again, as symbolized by Master Hongren's move. The next evening, Master Hongren finally explained the Diamond Sutra to Huineng. That's when Huineng experienced his awakening through 8 words. So, what are those 8 words from the Diamond Sutra? Here are these 8 words from the Diamond Sutra: hinder by nothing to grow wisdom from within. Actually, Huineng's verse resonates the first 4 words of that phrase. When someone is hindered by nothing, they do not fixate on one idea or action, which means they will not become obsessed with something or get stuck in a situation. This fixation is a type of attachment to perception. Let's discuss this perception more in depth. This perception focuses on the outside appearance or attribute. It is when we start categorizing everything and everyone in the world as superior or inferior, fancy or plain. When this type of perception becomes a habit and when we cannot let go of these exterior labels we place on things and people, we form this attachment to perception. For instance, if you come walking towards me with an LV bag. At first glance, I might think, wow, that's a very expensive brand. Just then, I look down and happen to see my own plain and brandless bag, which does not even feel like a bag anymore. However, in reality, it is still a bag. Perception does exist. Let's be honest, an LV bag is way fancier, pricier and probably higher in quality than mine, but that does not change the fact that my bag is still a bag. Once you get that, you will not be all caught up in perception. Let's see another example to show how perception is real. Can you really say that I am the same as the General Secretary of the country? He is a political leader, and I am a college professor, an ordinary person. There is definitely perception there. But you know what? We can still have a great chat without letting that perception get in the way. This mentality can be applied to other matters in the world. What is the issue with Shenxiu's verse? What is his attachment to perception? Shenxiu is clinging on to the idea of having a pure mind while also holding on to the cleanup of the dust and dirt from the outside world. We must let go of all that, not cling to anything at all. When we are too caught up on looking virtuous and perfect, that is also a problem. Sure, it is wonderful to be pure-hearted and stand up for what is right, but if we become fixated or obsessed on being pure and righteous, then we can deviate from our path. If so, we will no longer tolerate even the smallest of mistakes or flaws from others. It is like being upset over just a little speck of dust that falls into our eyes. This is what we call attachment to perception of purity. We should not have attachment to looking virtuous or being pure, but Shenxiu was holding on to that idea, as shown in his verse. In contrast, Huineng's verse shows him letting go of that attachment, but letting go does not mean there is nothing left. Here come the next 4 words that helped Huineng become enlightened: grow wisdom from within. This wisdom comes from the basic essence of our mind, also known as our true nature, which is basically our Buddha nature. Huineng did not know this at first, but Master Hongren explained it to him. When Huineng finally understood, he marveled, what is the point of being stuck on oneself's purity? What is the point of being stuck on one's life and death? What is the point of being stuck on the completeness of one's beliefs? What is the point of firmness in one's belief? How could the inherent nature not give rise to the myriad phenomena? Once again, we can see Mencius thinking reflected in Buddhism as well. Remember, Mencius was the one who said, all things are already complete in us. Huineng realized that within our true nature, there is purity, no birth or death, and complete fulfillment, as if all the truths of the world are packed inside us. In addition, our true nature does not waver and has the power to give rise to everything that exists and bring forth all phenomena we encounter. The true meaning of everything only becomes clear when we have realized our Buddha nature. Usually, we do not even realize that we have this inherent Buddha nature, and we often misunderstand the true meaning of things. Chinese Buddhism, especially Zen Buddhism, and Confucianism totally agree on one point. Neither believes in separating the way or truth from the world in which we live. Whether it is the truth of Buddhism or the Confucian teachings, both are directly related to our everyday reality. Confucius said, truth does not depart from human nature. When your mind starts wandering and gets caught up in unhelpful thoughts, troubles plague you and stress you out. On the contrary, when your mind is focused on positive thoughts, your inner Buddha nature shines through. Living and acting in line with your Buddha nature is what we call true wisdom. Now, let's talk about Zazen, a type of Zen Buddhist meditation in a sitting posture, with legs fully or half-crossed. During Zazen, you find deep concentration. What does deep concentration mean? First, we need to understand what it is not. It is not about having absolutely zero thoughts, freezing your mind like an ice cube, and sitting like a statue. Let's say a gorgeous person passes by right in front of you, and you do not even bat an eyelash. Is that really impressive? If that is what Zazen is about, then a rock can outperform you any day. A rock stays still because it does not have a mind to begin with. A rock can sit there without a mind, but that is not what Zazen is about. Think about it. If life were all rainbows and unicorns, why would we bother seeking wisdom? Can we all see eye to eye on this? The world would not make much sense without some bumps on the road, right? That is why Buddhism and the way of heaven exist in the world in which we live. The way of heaven is shown in the efforts of people to overcome their troubles and challenges. It is like the natural order of things in our lives. The struggles we face and the efforts we make to overcome suffering are all part of this natural order. In the words of Zen Buddhism, as Huineng put it, affliction is bodhi, suggesting that suffering is a path to enlightenment. So, do not freak out when life gets tough. Suffering is a way for us to grow spiritually and level up. It is like the training we need to become stronger and wiser.